What's going on, guys? Welcome to Diz TV. Welcome to my first video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So let's get started. So Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker is the final Star Wars film in the Skywalker saga, but it didn't come without its problems. So let's just go ahead and talk about this. So of course, we do know that Emperor Palpatine is back, and I gotta say, the way they handled it, I felt was pretty good. I didn't feel like, it felt out of place or it didn't make sense. I mean, Emperor Palpatine has been involved and kind of been the mastermind of the Skywalker saga. We see in the prequels with him, of course, orchestrating the Clone Wars, to him, of course, setting up the Empire. We see it throughout the original trilogy. And evidently we do get that in the sequel trilogy, as he was the mastermind behind Snoke. He was not like some random, Sith Lord that's been out there for a long time. He orchestrated Snoke. Felt that was definitely interesting, not the way I probably would have taken it, but I think I'm kind of okay with it, and it makes sense, of course, why Snoke didn't sense Rey's lightsaber turning on his throne and then getting stabbed in the side at the end of The Last Jedi. So I'm okay with this. The Palpatine reveal, I felt, was pretty cool. I mean, the line, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities, some considered to be unnatural, and then we get zombie Palpatine. I thought that was pretty cool, pretty well handled. And of course, we transition over to Rey. I do like how Leia trained Rey. I feel that's a great touch. Of course, we learn later in the story that Leia actually was trained by Luke to use a lightsaber. She actually has a lightsaber. I thought that was pretty cool, pretty neat. And of course, Leia's role in the story was much bigger than I initially anticipated, because we didn't know how much deleted scenes from The Last Jedi, and of course, The Force Awakens that they had of her, but it seems like they had a good amount. It did seem a little fuzzy around her and some things that obviously, if she was alive, would have not been there. But I do have to say they handled it very, very well, and I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out. Her whole arc in this film really, really was great. Even though she did die in this film, I felt that it was good. I felt it was needed, and of course, it did help to impact Kylo's change at the end. Speaking of Kylo Ren, man oh man, did I really, really like him in this film. Of course, immediately going after Emperor Palpatine because he was affecting his power. So, of course, Kylo Ren at the end was supreme leader of the First Order, and the Emperor was affecting his rule. Which we do see them kind of team up, but Kylo really does not want to kill Rey. He feels it's unnecessary, even though Palpatine does. Moving on, I do like the trio being together finally. I thought we would get it in The Last Jedi. We didn't. We see it like towards the end a little bit, but it's nothing too significant, so was kind of disappointed there. But great to see the trio again. We get some new stuff with the Falcon, of course, with hyperspace hopping. Thought that was pretty neat, though it did catch on fire, which I'm so glad that ship did not get destroyed. I do have to say that. The lightsaber battles in this film, I felt were pretty good. I felt they were handled pretty well, especially for these two characters. I do like the first one, though. Of course, the transition between Kamiji and, of course, the Star Destroyer I thought was cool, for sure. Lando was back in this film, and it was great to see one of my favorite Star Wars characters back. No mention of Han for him, of course, with Han and him being buddies. That's my only criticism with Lando and his role in the film. But once again, Poe taking a huge leadership role, and we do get a little backstory of him when we go to Kamiji, realizing that he was a spice freighter pilot. Wasn't expecting that, but I'm okay with it. Felt it was a pretty cool thing to see for his character. Moving on once again, Finn gets his arc in the story, where we, of course, see him alongside some ex-stormtroopers. Of course, we see that on the moon of Endor, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure Endor is a moon. Regardless, of course, the whole Death Star scene was really, really cool. I love the use of the episode 6 score by John Williams. And I do have to say the score in this film was absolutely phenomenal. It is really, really well done for the final Skywalker film. The third act of this film I felt was pretty good overall. I mean, it felt great. Anyway, backtracking though, fake deaths. My thoughts on those with C-3PO and Chewie and their fake deaths. I mean, with the whole explosion thing, I mean, we see Rey shooting out lightning, which I was like, whoa. And then I was like, no, they're really gonna kill Chewie off like that? No. That to me it seemed ridiculous. And I'm so glad that Chewie survived the film because I think Chewie's a great character. C-3PO, of course, with him taking one last look at our friends and then to realize that R2 had the rest of the data. The whole Sith arc in this film, with them going to find the Wayfinder to get to Exegol, which is the planet the Emperor's on, I felt was pretty good. I like these type of stories, and I feel that, it makes sense for Star Wars. I mean, you're looking for something to get somewhere or to find someone. I mean, they did that with, of course, The Force Awakens with the map to Luke Skywalker. So I felt it was pretty good. Was very happy with that part of the story. I do like a lot of the ties to, of course, Return of the Jedi, specifically with the score and with just some of the beats that it had, especially in the third act. Biggest moment for me in this film is seeing the fact that all three characters were in this film. All the original trilogy, the big three, Leia, Luke, and Han were all in this story. Leia, of course, dies. Kylo Ren is shocked. Rey's shocked. Then, of course, after that scene, we see Han Solo come back, kind of like a Force Ghost thing, kind of a vision thing. And they kind of redo their Force Awakens scene on the bridge where Kylo Ren did kill Han Solo, but it's redone where, Han Solo says, Ben's not dead. Kylo Ren is dead. And you really see him actually being torn up, literally torn apart, but we do see, him torn, and he's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't think I have the strength to do it. He's like, yes, you do. You're my son. And man, what a touching way to end Han Solo. And just, oh man, to me, it was just a great, great, great part of the story. I really, really loved it, for sure. Moving on, though, of course, we see Kylo Ren chuck it, and Ben Solo is back. I was expecting him to be redeemed. I mean, the moment we see, him being shocked about his mother's death, to Rey stabbing him, which the Mandalorian was extremely helpful, as we learned of the Jedi, the Force healing power, which I believe was in Legends, but it's officially canon because of both the Mandalorian with Baby Yoda and Rey and Kylo doing it, as we know of the third act of the film, which again was really, really good. I do like the space battle. It felt very chaotic, I'll be quite honest, which is why I still think, some of the prequel space battles and, of course, the Return of the Jedi space battles were much better. It just felt really chaotic and all over the place, but I guess that's how space battles would be, right? Of course, we see the Final Order, which is the Emperor's kind of big second coming. We see them, rise up, and it's huge. It seems ridiculous. It really does. And of course, that's for both sides. Of course, as we see Lando and Chewie come in with kind of an Avengers Endgame portal moment, with a bunch of ships, and they're all fighting, and the Emperor, kind of decimates it all, at least, powers it down. The connection between Rey and Ben in this story was great. I like the use of it, of course, as they have their battle between Kimiji and the Star Destroyer. My favorite battle I do like in the third act, where Rey hands Luke/Anakin's saber to him, and he fights the Knights of Ren. I thought that was cool, but the biggest thing outside of Han Solo coming back for this story, was Rey, of course, being revealed to be a Palpatine. I was surprised by that, I'll be a little honest, but also at the same time, it makes sense. It was the only character that really made sense. I mean, you couldn't do Han Solo, you couldn't do Luke Skywalker, so it was kind of the last bit, and he definitely couldn't do any of the other Jedi like Obi-Wan. So it made sense. Thought it was a pretty decent move there by J.J. Abrams. But yeah, that was the big reveal there. Of course, we do, as I mentioned earlier, get Luke Skywalker back, and he and Leia both knew about Rey being a Palpatine. And she mentions, "Why do you still train me?" And he says, "Because your family past does not dictate, your future." That's pretty much how he put it, which I thought a very powerful moment. And I mean, he knows it from personal experience. Luke, his father, was with the dark side, Darth Vader. He redeemed his father. Rey didn't redeem her grandfather, but that was to be expected. Emperor is the big bad. So I do like Luke in this film. It kind of felt like a slap in the face to The Last Jedi, especially when he caught the saber and said that's not how lightsabers should be treated. Very much a slap in the face, because Last Jedi, he chucked it. So, but I do like the correction. I do like the Obi-Wan Yoda parallels. Of course, as Luke hands Rey Leia's lightsaber, very similar to how Obi-Wan handed Luke his father's lightsaber. So I did like that moment. I thought it was cool. And then, of course, I think one of my favorite moments in the film, very much parallel to Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, where Yoda lifts up the X-Wing. Luke lifts up the X-Wing because it's still on Ahch-To. So he lifts up the X-Wing for Rey to use to go to Exegol. Rey makes her way to Exegol, as she has everything she needs. So, and of course she does have two lightsabers, and once we saw that, well, at least once I saw that, I knew Ben was going to get one, because we knew he'd been redeemed. And I do have to say, the Ben Knights of Ren fight was really, really good. Liked it a lot, for sure. The fight, though, between Ben, Rey, and Palpatine, it was alright. I mean, he overpowered them very easily, which is to be expected. I mean, the Emperor is the big bad of the Star Wars movies, so that makes sense there. And then, of course, like she tried to do early in the film, she calls the Jedi, and my favorite, I think it is my favorite scene, where we hear a bunch of different Jedi voices from different characters. We get Anakin, we get Obi-Wan, we get Yoda, we get Mace Windu, we get Kanan, we get Ahsoka, we get Luminara, we get Adi Gallia, I don't know, her name's so complicated. But we get a bunch of different Jedi, all saying that they're with you. We're with you, Rey. We get Luke, we get Qui-Gon as well. And man, we get a whole bunch of Jedi we know, a lot of Jedis we care about. I did like the Ahsoka and Kanan parts, of course, as their two main characters. Ahsoka for both Clone Wars and Rebels, and Kanan with Rebels. So I thought that was cool. Great to see that those two are making bleeds into the actual films themselves. And she takes both the sabers, kind of does a cross. Emperor with his own lightning, very similar to Episode 3, and gets disintegrated and loses. And Rey dies. Ben comes back after being tossed and heals Rey using the Jedi healing power, or Force healing power, rather. They, are happy for a minute. They kiss because Reylos. I thought it was okay, to be quite honest. It was expected. Then we see Ben die, and we see both Leia and, of course, Ben become one with the Force. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. They all celebrate that they won the battle. The final order is destroyed. Embrace, and we see everybody come together. And then, of course, we see at the end of the film, Rey, of course, going to Tatooine, where it all started, to Luke, or the Lars homestead, rather, where Luke grew up. She has a gold saber, which I really want a gold saber now because of that. Thanks, JJ. I really appreciate it. But she buries Leia and Luke's lightsabers, and then a wandering traveler comes and she's like, "Who are you?" And Rey responds with, "I'm Rey." "Rey who?" Luke and Leia come back as Force ghosts, and she's like, "Rey Skywalker." Gee, what a surprise. But I mean, it makes sense, you know. She didn't want to live by her family name because it's Palpatine. So, and then of course we see the twin suns setting, which very reminiscent to the most iconic shot of Star Wars, with Luke gazing at the twin suns fading, and the movie ends. I really like this film. Like I said at the beginning, I felt it was good. It did feel rushed. I'll be honest, there were some moments in the film where I felt, this really isn't needed, or, you know, it just feels like two separate movies. And it did kind of feel like two separate movies. Or it could have been two separate movies. Last Jedi really didn't leave a lot to end the Skywalker saga on. So they really had to kind of scramble. But if it was separated like 9 and 10, I felt it probably could have been a little better, to be quite honest. But nonetheless, I'm not the guy directing it. So, though I do have to say, with what was given, with having to both set up the final thing and end, of course, the movie, and not only wrap up the sequel trilogy, but the saga as a whole, I felt JJ did a really good job with what he was given. This movie doesn't come without flaws. There's going to be flaws. There's flaws even in the first Star Wars and the original trilogy. There's flaws in every single movie. So, and there's some things where, yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of. I'm not. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I did enjoy it. I give it a B plus, or like an 87, 88 range there. I'll do a ranking at some point. My top 9 films. I'm not going to include Solo and Rogue One in that. Just the Skywalker saga, because I have gone through them leading up to Rise of Skywalker. So I'll have that video out in the next couple days. But until then, happy holidays to everyone watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of Rise of Skywalker. Hopefully you didn't watch this. If you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker, what are you doing? I mean, it says it in the title, in the description. It's spoiler filled. Anyway, you spoiled it for yourself. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. Let me know also if there's anything I can do to change. This is my first video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it though. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video though, be sure to subscribe, for I upload videos on Disney, Marvel, Star Wars like this one, and so much more. May the Force be with you. I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.